Emma Thompson had always been a dreamer. Growing up in a quiet English village tucked away in Yorkshire, she wasn't the loudest, the prettiest, or the most confident, but she had something most people lacked: belief. Belief in the good of people. Belief in love. Belief in justice. Her father was a mechanic, and her mother worked at a local bakery. They didn't have much money, but they gave Emma something far more valuable: a strong sense of right and wrong, and the fire to chase her dreams. Emma wanted to be a journalist. Not the tabloid kind that gossiped about celebrities, but a real one. Someone who exposed corruption, gave voice to the voiceless, and told stories that mattered. At 18, she got a scholarship to a prestigious media college in London. It was everything she'd worked for. But London was another world. It was fast, glamorous, and dangerous. And that's where she met Alec Whitmore. He was everything she wasn't: charming, rich, influential, and confident in a way that made everyone else feel invisible. He was also the guest lecturer at her university, a successful journalist turned media executive who now ran his own online news company, Whitmore Global Media. Emma met him after one of his talks. He noticed her intelligent questions and invited her to apply for an internship. Within 2 weeks, Emma was working in his office. Within 2 months, they were having coffee together regularly. And within a year, they were dating. He was older, 34 to her 20, but he made her feel seen. He told her she had potential, that she was different, that she was special. He said she reminded him of himself when he was younger, ambitious, raw, full of purpose. And Emma believed him. She fell hard. She started spending nights at his penthouse. He introduced her to his elite circle. She was the girl from the village who was now sipping wine at rooftop parties with celebrities. And for a moment, just a moment, she thought her life was perfect. But perfection has a price. And sometimes, it's an illusion. It started with small things. Her article pitches were being rejected, even though Alec praised them in private. Other interns who joined after her were getting promotions and bylines. Then came the whispers. One colleague muttered, "Sleeping your way up doesn't always work, darling." Another called her Whitmore's pet project behind her back. Emma confronted Alec about it. He held her face, kissed her forehead, and said, "You're too sensitive. Let them talk. You're mine. That's all that matters." But things got worse. One night, she saw a message pop up on Alec's phone while he was in the shower. It was from another girl. "Had a great night. Can't wait to see you again," face blowing a kiss. Emma's hands trembled as she opened the thread. There were dozens of similar messages, different names, different girls, same lies. She couldn't breathe. When Alec came out, she was sitting on the bed, silent, the phone in her hand. He didn't flinch. He didn't deny it. He smiled. "You think I was ever going to settle for someone like you?" he said. "You were a toy, a project. You had your moment. Now it's done." She slapped him. He laughed. Then he said something that would haunt her for months. "You'll never be anything without me. No one in this city will hire you now. You think you can take me down? Go ahead, try. I'll destroy you." And he did. Over the next few weeks, she was fired from Whitmore Global Media. Alec leaked fake stories about her, that she had plagiarized, stolen ideas, harassed coworkers. Her university revoked her final year internship credit. Every company she applied to rejected her. She went from the rising star of media to a blacklisted nobody. Emma packed her bags and went home, back to her tiny village. Broke, alone, and utterly shattered. But something had changed inside her. The fire wasn't gone. It was just hidden beneath the ashes, and soon it would rise again. Emma stared at the cracked ceiling of her childhood bedroom. It had been 6 weeks since she came back home. 6 weeks of silence, of shame, of going from the heights of a media career in London to working the morning shift at the same bakery her mother still worked at. The villagers had questions, of course. Didn't you have a fancy job in London? Weren't you dating that famous media man? What happened, love? Emma just smiled politely, said she missed home, said she was on a break. But inside, her heart burned. She hadn't just been betrayed. She had been humiliated, destroyed. And Alec Whitmore was still on TV, still tweeting smugly, still giving speeches about truth and justice, still dating other young interns like nothing happened. He had moved on, but she hadn't. She couldn't. And slowly, that heartbreak began to change form. It hardened, turned cold, turned sharp, turned into a weapon. Emma didn't want pity. She wanted justice, but not the kind that came from a courtroom. No, Alec Whitmore was too powerful for that. He had friends in politics, the police, the press. She needed something else. She needed a plan, and she started building it. Small Blue Diamond Step 1. Knowledge is power. She spent her nights researching every company Alec had ever been linked to, every scandal he had narrowly escaped, every woman who had quit his firm suddenly, every post, every tweet, every blurry photograph in tabloids. Patterns emerged. He targeted young, ambitious women, promised them fame, gave them just enough hope to make them stay until they were no longer useful, then discarded them. But here's the thing. Emma wasn't just any woman. She was a trained journalist. She knew how to investigate. She made fake accounts, joined online journalist forums, and tracked down 3 other women who had stories like hers. All of them were scared. He ruined my career. He leaked my private photos. He sent someone to threaten me. They had kept quiet for years. But Emma wasn't here to be quiet. She asked for their trust. And slowly, one by one, they gave it. Small Blue Diamond Step 2. The identity. Emma knew Alec would recognize her face anywhere. So she became someone else. She dyed her hair jet black, cut its shoulder length, adopted glasses, changed her voice slightly, took a new name, Clara James, and Clara moved to Manchester. She rented a small flat, printed a fresh resume, and began applying to journalism startups, the kind Alec's firm didn't own. After 3 months, she got a job at Vox People Media, a rising independent digital media company that prided itself on unfiltered truth. Her job? Researcher. Her mission? Find proof. Expose Alec. Small Blue Diamond Step 3. Building the bomb. Emma, now Clara, worked day and night. She uncovered a former HR manager from Alec's company who had left after a nervous breakdown. Through careful emails and discreet meetings, she got access to old NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, forged exit interviews, and even financial records that Alec had buried. She also convinced 2 ex-employees to go on record, anonymously, about harassment and mental torture. Then came the big one. One of Alec's old assistants, now living in Spain, admitted he had helped destroy digital evidence from 3 laptops, including inappropriate videos. Emma asked him why he was coming clean now. His reply chilled her. Because I saw what he did to you. You didn't deserve that. None of you did. Emma now had everything she needed. But she wasn't going to just publish an article. She was going to bury him. Publicly. Brutally. Small Blue Diamond Step 4. The Trap. Emma, created a fake influencer persona, an Instagram account of a young, ambitious journalist with 15K fake followers and lots of flattering selfies. She tagged Alec's company in posts, followed his board members, and commented on his tweets. As expected, he noticed. One evening, she got a DM from his verified account. Hey. I like your energy. Want to grab coffee sometime? She smiled. Hook. Line. Sinker. At the cafe in Soho, Alec didn't recognize her. Why would he? She looked different. She spoke differently. And she played the part. Naive, impressed, flirty. Alec leaned in. You remind me of someone I once knew. She had fire too. Until she burned out. Emma fought the urge to smash the cup in his face. But instead, she laughed. Sweetly. Well, maybe this time the fire stays lit. That night, Alec texted her again. He invited her to a party. High profile. Media insiders only. She accepted. But she wasn't going alone. She wore a hidden mic. Outside, waiting in a van, was a team of Vox People journalists, ready to record, document, and go live. Emma walked into the party, like a ghost in heels. Alec introduced her as his new intern. The journalists outside began recording. The trap had sprung. Small Blue Diamond Step 5. The explosion. The article dropped on a Monday morning. Front page of Vox People. Exposed. The Whitmore women. Inside the predator empire of a media mogul. There were names. Screenshots.
Audio recordings.
Photos. Anonymous testimonies. And most damning of all, a live recording from that party, where Alec was heard bragging. She begged me not to leak her photos. But, you know, a man's gotta keep control. By noon, it had gone viral. By evening, Whitmore Global Media stock had dropped 60%. By the next day, sponsors pulled out.
Board members resigned.
And Alec Whitmore? He disappeared.
No tweets.
No press statements. Nothing. But Emma wasn't done. She revealed her real identity in a live interview. She sat across from a respected TV journalist, looked straight into the camera, and said, "My name is Emma Thompson, and this is what happens when you push the wrong woman too far." The internet erupted. #IamEmma trended worldwide. Her inbox was flooded with messages from women who had once been silenced, now inspired. She was no longer just a girl from a small village. She was a warrior. For 72 hours, Alec Whitmore vanished. His PR team went silent. His media firm went offline. Even his personal Instagram, once filled with power poses and vacation yachts, disappeared. But Emma knew him too well. He wasn't hiding. He was calculating. And she was right. On the fourth day after the exposé dropped, Alec reappeared on national TV. Not to apologize, but to fight back. Wearing a tailored black suit, looking clean and calm, he sat down for an exclusive interview on a mainstream news channel. He smirked into the camera and said, "This is nothing but a coordinated smear campaign. A bitter ex-intern trying to gain attention. None of it is real. No charges have been filed. No court has proven anything." Emma watched the screen from her tiny flat, heart pounding. She clenched her jaw. There it was, the Alec she knew. The master manipulator. The narcissist. The man who made lies sound like facts. But this time, she wasn't the scared intern. She was the woman who had everything documented. Small Orange Diamond, the counterattack. Within hours of his interview, Alec's legal team filed a defamation lawsuit against Emma and Vox People Media, demanding £10 million in damages. £10 million. It was meant to silence her, intimidate her, ruin her financially. The media world buzzed. Some said Alec was innocent until proven guilty. Others said Emma had gone too far. But Emma didn't flinch. In fact, she welcomed the lawsuit. Because now the courtroom would become her stage. Small Orange Diamond, the war begins. Over the next 2 months, preparations began for the biggest public case in the British media industry in years. Emma had lawyers. Vox People Media backed her fully. Crowdfunding campaigns raised over £300,000 for her legal defense. More women stepped forward, 7 in total. All of them had been silenced, threatened, manipulated. Now, they were ready to speak. The case became a media frenzy. TV debates, podcasts, hashtags, protests outside Alec's office. And Alec? He still walked like a king, smiling, waving, wearing expensive suits.
But his eyes, they had changed.
They didn't shine with confidence anymore. They were nervous. He was losing control. Small Orange Diamond, the courtroom. The trial began on a cold Monday morning in December. Emma stood outside the courthouse, wearing a gray coat and no makeup. Reporters surrounded her. Cameras flashed. Someone shouted, "Are you afraid?" She paused, then answered calmly, "I've already lived through my worst fear. Today, I just want truth." Inside the courtroom, Alec sat across from her. He didn't look at her, but Emma looked at him, not with hate. Not with fear, just clarity. She knew what he was now. A shell. Small Orange Diamond, the evidence. Over 2 weeks, the courtroom saw audio recordings of Alec admitting to emotional manipulation, Screenshots of messages he sent to interns. Testimonies from ex-employees. Psychological evaluations of victims. Emails showing how Emma had been blacklisted. Alex's lawyers tried every trick. They called her unstable, said she was vengeful, said she edited the recordings. But Emma's legal team was ready. For every lie, they had 10 truths. And then came the video, a short, 16-second clip from one of Alex's private yacht parties, where he was caught joking. Why mentor when you can manipulate? Faster results. The courtroom fell silent. Alex's lawyer buried his face in his hands. Small Orange Diamond, the verdict. After a 3-day jury deliberation, the verdict was announced. Alec Whitmore was found guilty of workplace harassment, defamation, blacklisting, and career sabotage. Intentional emotional harm. He was ordered to pay £3.7 million in damages to Emma and the other women, step down from all media boards, publicly apologize, and face a pending criminal trial for harassment under the UK Employment Act. As the judge read the sentence, Alec finally looked at Emma.
There was no smugness now.
Just a man who had lost. Emma didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just closed her eyes and let go. Small Orange Diamond, the healing. In the weeks that followed, Emma received over 50,000 emails from women around the world. From students, from journalists, from mothers, from victims. All of them saying the same thing. You gave me strength. She was offered book deals, interviews, talk shows. But she turned most of them down. She wasn't chasing fame. She wanted peace. She moved to a cottage by the sea, started writing, not for headlines, but for herself. And slowly, she healed. Not completely, but enough. Enough to smile without flinching. Enough to trust again. Small Orange Diamond, 1 year later. Emma now runs her own online platform, Voice Unbroken, a digital journal where survivors can anonymously share their stories. It has over 2 million subscribers. And every month, Emma writes a letter to her readers. One of them reads, I was broken once, not just by a man, but by a system that enabled him. But I rebuilt, slowly, brick by brick, not to get revenge, but to make sure no one else has to live in silence. Small Orange Diamond final scene. The last meeting. 3 years later, Emma walks into a quiet cafe in London. She's older, wiser.
Calm.
At the far corner, she sees a man serving coffee. It's Alec.
Fired.
Bankrupt. Forgotten. He's lost weight, lost charm, lost everything. He looks up. His face turns pale when he recognizes her. She walks up to the counter, smiles gently. Hello, Alec. He can't speak. She sets a tip on the counter, exactly £1, then leans in and whispers, You were right about one thing. I was just a girl, but not anymore. She turns and walks away. Outside, the sun shines. A new chapter begins. 3 years had passed. London had changed. Emma had changed more. Once, she walked the streets with wide eyes and big dreams. Now, she walked with quiet strength. No longer the girl hoping to be noticed. Now, she was the woman people looked up to. But recognition never comforted her. Fame had never been her goal. Only truth and perhaps healing. She still got flashbacks sometimes. That night on Alec's bed. The betrayal. His laughter. The courtroom. The weight of facing him. The cheers afterward. Loud but distant. Healing wasn't linear. Some days she felt light. Some days, she didn't want to get out of bed. But there was one thing she promised herself every morning. Never again will I be silenced. Small Orange Diamond, the platform that changed lives. Emma's online journal, Voice Unbroken, became a global phenomenon. It was simple, an open space for people, mostly women, to share their stories of abuse, injustice, workplace manipulation, and survival. Every story was verified, carefully edited, and posted anonymously unless the writer chose otherwise. It didn't take long before media outlets started quoting Voice Unbroken. Governments took notice. Companies changed HR policies. But Emma never made it political. For her, this was personal. Each story posted was a soul that had suffered and found the courage to speak. Every month, she published a letter to her readers. One issue went viral globally. It read, "Silence protects power. But stories? Stories destroy it." Small orange diamond, an unexpected message. One rainy evening in early April, Emma received an email that made her pause. Subject line, "It's time you knew the whole truth." It was from a woman named Melissa Ray, a name Emma vaguely remembered. She had been Alex's assistant for barely 2 months before vanishing from the company. The message said, "I wasn't brave back then, but I've carried a secret for years, and it's time you hear it. If you're willing to meet, I'm ready to talk." Emma hesitated. Was this a trap? Or was it the missing piece? She replied with a time and place, a public bookstore cafe in Brighton. 2 days later, small orange diamond, the conversation that changed everything. Melissa was older now, early 30s, with tired eyes and a nervous smile. She sat across from Emma, trembling slightly. Emma offered calm, patience, a quiet nod. Melissa began, "You exposed Alec. But there's more. He wasn't just a predator, he was organized. What he did to you and the others. It was planned, controlled, protected by others." Emma's pulse quickened. Melissa continued. She revealed that Alec had a network, silent investors, powerful clients, even a retired politician, all of whom knew about his behavior and protected him because he helped bury their own scandals in the press. In exchange for silence, Alec gave them media power. There were hidden files, contracts,
Bribes.
photos.
Names.
He kept everything. He called it his insurance policy. I once saw a folder labeled "Shields and Strings." Melissa had made copies, afraid that one day Alec would come for her. Now she handed them over to Emma. A flash drive.
A key.
And a warning. If you publish this, you'll shake the whole system. But they won't stay silent. They'll come after you. Emma stared at the small, silver USB. Her hands were steady. "Good," she whispered. "Let them come." Small orange diamond blowing up the empire. Emma didn't release everything at once. She spent 3 months verifying every name, every email, every transaction. She brought in 2 trusted investigative journalists. Together, they assembled what would become the largest media leak in modern UK history. The headline, when it dropped, was thunderous. Strings and Shields, the secret web of power behind a media predator. It listed 27 names, CEOs, judges, MPs, and media owners. People who had not only known what Alec was doing, but had covered it up to protect themselves. There were financial trails, chat logs, witness statements. The public reaction? Fury. There were arrests, resignations, emergency debates in Parliament. It wasn't just a scandal. It was a reckoning. Small orange diamond, the retaliation. But power does not go down without a fight. Within days of the article dropping, Emma's apartment was broken into. She wasn't home. She received anonymous threats. Her bank account was temporarily frozen. Online trolls flooded her platforms with fake allegations. But she was ready. Every file she had released had been duplicated across 37 cloud backups worldwide. Lawyers from 5 countries volunteered to protect her. Her readers, millions of them, launched the hashtag #ProtectEmma. And even those who once doubted her now stood behind her. Because now, the truth wasn't hidden in shadows anymore. It was out in the light. Small orange diamond, the unexpected ending. A few months later, Emma received a letter. Not digital, not emailed, but handwritten. No return address. It read, "You destroyed what I built, but maybe I deserved it. Just know you're not a hero. You're just better at hiding your darkness than I was." She read it twice, then burned it. No reply.
No closure.
She owed him nothing. Small orange diamond legacy. Emma never returned to mainstream journalism. Instead, she started a global program training young girls in investigative writing. She held workshops in India, Kenya, Brazil, Poland, and Turkey. Her story was adapted into a Netflix documentary called Unbroken, the Emma Thompson story, watched by over 60 million people in the first week. But she refused red carpets. She never cashed in on fame. In every interview, she said the same thing. This was never about revenge. It was about making sure no girl ever has to go through what I did. Small Orange Diamond Final Chapter. One last letter. On the 5-year anniversary of Voice Unbroken, Emma sat by the sea, laptop open, wind in her hair, and wrote one last public letter. _ to every girl who's been silenced, doubted, mocked, or broken. You don't need to become like them to defeat them. Your story, your pain, your truth, it's your sword. I was once a girl with dreams. They broke me, but I rose. And now, I carry the dreams of thousands. If you're reading this, you can too. _ 5 years after Alec Whitmore fell, something bigger rose. It wasn't just a headline, or a hashtag, or a documentary. It was a movement. Across cities, campuses, companies, and courtrooms, women and men began speaking up. Inspired by a single girl from a village who'd refused to be silenced. They called it the Unbroken Fire. And Emma Thompson, once laughed at, blacklisted, and broken, was now the spark that had set the old system ablaze. But even flames, when they burn too long, can become dangerous. And not everyone wanted the fire to spread. Fire a global reckoning. Voice Unbroken was now active in 42 countries. It had helped over 10,000 victims connect with legal aid, mental health services, and media platforms to share their truth. It had inspired policy changes. A new survivors bill had passed in the UK. HR protocols across Europe had shifted. Companies feared the headlines more than lawsuits now. But with visibility came risk. Emma received a private message from her security liaison one night. There's a coordinated smear campaign brewing. You're being targeted, not just as a journalist, but as a symbol. Fake articles began popping up online. Emma Thompson falsified records. Voice Unbroken funds tied to foreign politics. Is the feminist hero just another liar? She expected this. It always came, the backlash, the smear, the attempt to turn her story into a stain. But Emma was ready. This time, she didn't wait to be destroyed. She fought back, not with revenge, but with facts. Magnifying glass tilted left the counterstrike. She launched a transparency audit of her entire organization.
Open finance.
Public oversight. Neutral investigators. The audit came back clean. Emma held a live stream, over 12 million viewers tuned in, where she addressed every rumor, every lie, every troll. She ended the stream with one simple line. You don't silence a movement with hashtags. You only expose your fear. Glow showing Europe, Africa, the world took notice. The UN invited Emma to speak at the Human Rights Summit in Geneva. She stood before presidents, ambassadors, and leaders in a simple navy blue dress, no script in her hand. She spoke from memory. The most powerful thing a woman can say isn't "I love you." It's "I remember everything." Memory is dangerous to abusers. And truth is a fire no lie can survive. The hall went silent, then erupted in applause. Puzzle piece, the final twist. One night, while going through a box of old court files for her memoir, Emma found something strange. A sealed envelope. No name, just a number. Number 3137. Inside was a USB, one she'd never seen before. She plugged it into her encrypted laptop. There were videos, dozens, secret recordings. Alec, his investors, conversations, blackmail threats, deals being made in dark corners. It was deeper than anything she had ever published. Too deep. This wasn't just about Alec anymore. This was a map. A map to everyone who ever operated behind him. Politicians, billionaires, even people Emma once considered allies. A message popped up on the screen. You finished me. Now finish them. Melissa. The former assistant had left her one final gift. A ticking bomb. Hourglass not done, the final decision. Emma sat in the dark for hours, staring at the files. Publishing them would destroy dozens of lives, bring down industries, expose entire networks of corruption. But it could also put her in danger for real this time. This wasn't reputation war. This was life-threatening. She closed the laptop, took a walk by the sea, thought about her younger self, the girl who cried on a train back home, the girl who thought her life was over. And then she remembered something she'd written once. Revenge ends when the world changes, not when a man falls. Of the final act, she didn't publish the files. Not directly. Instead, she handed them to 5 trusted investigative groups across 5 countries. She remained anonymous in the new exposés. This time, she let others be the heroes. She had already played her part. Her work was done. Envelope epilogue. One last letter. 5 years after her first story was posted, Emma published one final message on Voice Unbroken. It read, "Or to the girl sitting alone in a room she didn't choose. To the woman replaying his words until they feel like truth. To the fighter who's tired of fighting. This is for you. I was once just like you. I broke. I bled. I screamed silently. But I lived. I rose. And I burned down the world that hurt me. You don't have to scream loud to be powerful. You just have to say one thing. No more. _____.